No. All right. Segments and midpoint today. So we did distance, and I did put the formulas on the back of the board, and I did pull out a formula chart for y'all so you can see. I'm going to make copies of these, and I'll put them in the front of the room. If you want one for your binder, I'll give you a nice little thing to put it in so you can have it for yourself. Otherwise, they are all in your notes. I just, some people like formula charts, so it's all good. All right, here we go. Midpoint today. So same concept, only we're going to be doing midpoint. So it is, the midpoint of a segment is a point on a segment that is equal distance of course he is. So, equal distance from both endpoints. A point on a segment that is equal distance from both endpoints. So, this actually does say equidistance, that's the word, but we always stop and ask, what does that mean? So I just say equal distance. I thought I auto-marked it. Stop focusing. There.
Some teachers don't know how to do whatever you just did, and it's very...
It's the AFL button.
I'm going to let some people...
Yes, it's the AFL button.
Because you're like...
Yes. Okay, so to abbreviate midpoint, we can write an M with a circle around it. Okay, so that is the the abbreviation for midpoint. Sometimes I'll write it, sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll write a capital M. If you ever need clarification, just ask me, seriously. All right, a point is the midpoint of a segment if it is between the two endpoints, and the distances from the point to each endpoint are equal. So think about what it means to be in the middle. Right? The midpoint directly in the middle. The left and the right side are exactly the same. So in math, remember I told you we're working with pictures, so we're going to have a lot of symbols and things like tally marks that mean stuff on pictures. So if we have these nice little tick marks on our segments, so these little things right here, those indicate that the left side is equal to the right side. So this distance from P to M is equal to the distance MQ. So those tally marks mean that they're equal. And if I wanted to write a statement, it would be PM equals MQ. All right. So does anyone know a math word that means the same thing as equal, but we use it when we talk about pictures? There we go. So equivalent and equal are for numbers. I say 4 is equal or equivalent to 4, but with pictures, I can say that they are congruent. These are congruent. And if you need to, put yourself some parentheses and say congruent is the same thing as equal. All right, if I'm on a number line, so yesterday, remember we were counting there. We were counting on the number line. So if I'm on the number line and I want the midpoint of something, what do you think I'm going to do? So like if the segment is 10, how would I find the midpoint? Say it again. Divide by 2, right? Because it's in half. So our formula is going to be A plus B. We're going to add our two endpoints together, and then we're going to divide them by 2. So more formulas I'm going to get to add to the board. All right, so let's try it. Find the coordinates. Find the coordinate of the midpoint FG. So here's F to G. They want the midpoint. So our formula, you can count or you can use your formula. So midpoint equals, it's A plus B. So what is my first endpoint? Because that's the number I need first. F. So -3 plus my other endpoint, 3. And then I'm going to divide all that by 2. That's the formula. Do the top first. So -3 plus 3. 0. And then divide that by 2. So what is my midpoint? 0. So at the point 0. So in my picture, at point 0, I'm going to put a dot, and I'm going to label that M. That's my midpoint. What do you think? All right, let's try example 2. Example 2. All right, so I know my formula, but what is A? Somebody needs to stop making noise. Good, -3.5, good. All right, so now, A is -3.5, so that's the first endpoint. I'm going to add that to the second, so what's B? 3. And then I'm going to divide that by 2. -3.5 plus 3 is 0.5, and then it's -0.5. And that needs to be divided by 2. Is that going to get bigger or smaller? No. When you divide a decimal by something, it gets smaller. What is it? Use your calculator. Yeah, -0.25. How do I graph that on the number line? What is 0.25? No, what is what is 1/2 as a decimal? 0.5. So it's not 1/2. So half of that, which is 1/4. So I'm gonna here at 0, this first tally mark is -0.5. That's not what I need. So I have to put a little thing in there. And it's in between that first little tally mark and 0. All right. How are we feeling so far? All right, Dylan is not allowed to use the bathroom in the mornings. Yeah. I'm going to have to start making notes. All right. Okay. So if the coordinate of the midpoint of segment AB is on the number line, is 3. Okay, hold on. Okay, I need to draw a picture because I'm already getting confused. So if I draw my number line, let's see, and I should have put tally marks instead of that. But it says AB is on a number line. The midpoint. Okay. Now I see what we're doing. All right. If the coordinate of the midpoint, so AB is the outside, and M is the midpoint, they're saying it's 3 on the number line. That's what they told me. The midpoint is 3. They put stuff in between, and as you can tell, I had to read it a couple of times. So they did put stuff in between, but they told me the midpoint is 3. Now, A is at -2. Find the coordinates of B. All right, so this time I can't use my formula because they didn't give me the other endpoint. I have to find that. So I'm going to tell you how to do this in reverse, or not reverse, but just common sense, right? There is a math way to do this, but it's confusing. So I'm going to show you common sense. If from A to M, it has to be the same distance from M to B, because that's the midpoint. So if I travel 5 miles from A to M, then M to B also has to be 5. Does that make sense? Okay, so I need to find the distance from A to M. How do you find the distance between negative 2 and 3?
Is it 5?
No. How would I get on the number line? What would I add or subtract to get from negative 2 to get to positive 3? Add what? 5. So if this distance, if I jumped 5, then what do I have to do from 3 to get to B? So same thing, I have to add 5. So what is 3 plus 5? So my other end point is 8. So B equals 8. Does that make sense? B equals 8 if you want to be all proper and write you an equation. You think you can do that? Okay, because it is, you have to read. When they give you the midpoint, you have to do it this way. When they give you the end points, you add and divide by 2. Okay, we're going to keep going. I know, it's a lot of stuff. It's Thursday. I got it. I know. Midpoint on a coordinate plane. So here we go. Here's our formula for when we're on a graph. Midpoint equals x1 plus x2 divided by 2. It's 2 answers, by the way. So I'm going to do my x's and then comma, then I'm going to do my y's. y1 plus y2 divided by 2. You have to think about the answer that you're giving me. It's a midpoint. So there has to be an x value and a y value. So I have to do these separate. Okay? That's the biggest thing with midpoint is everybody thinks that they need one answer. It's 2, an x and a y. All right, let's try it. Find the midpoint between these two. So the first thing, they tell me midpoint, so I know I'm going to use my midpoint formula. And then I'm going to label my points. x1, y1, x2, y2. All right, now line them up. Put them into your equation. Midpoint equals, I need my x's. I'm going to add my x values. So x1 is negative 11 plus x2 is 8. Okay, I know you could probably do that in your head right now, but I'm going to keep filling in the formula. Okay, so that's my x's. Now I need my y's. y1 is 3 plus y2 is negative 7. And I'm going to divide that by 2. Chase, you can go to the bathroom now. Thank you. All right, now I'm going to simplify those fractions. Okay, if you can do them as you go, by all means, do them as you go. But otherwise, you're going to just do them step by step. So equals, open my parentheses. What is negative 11 plus 8? Negative 3 over 2. And then I have 3 plus a negative 7, negative 4 over 2. And then lastly, can I reduce any further? One more step. So I'm going to take this. It is your choice if you want to put them as decimals or leave them as fractions, but I do need them completely reduced. So if you're going to do decimals, it would be negative 1.5. and then comma, negative 2. That would be my final answer. So I want them completely reduced, please. All right, what do you think? You think you can do midpoint? I hope so. Let's see how many I have. Okay, yeah, we're going to do all 3 of them. What time do we get out of here? Okay, yeah, y'all got plenty of time. Good. All right, find the coordinates of the midpoint. So same thing, and you can draw a picture if you want, but on these you really don't have to because I know I'm looking for midpoint, so I know I can use my formula. So I'm going to label x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay. Now let's plug them in. Midpoint equals, I need to add my x values. Y'all want to try to do it in your head, or you want me to list it all out? Probably list it, huh? Since it's the first time seeing it. So 3 plus 7, add your x's together and divide by 2. Then add your y's. Negative 6 plus 2 over 2. Okay, let's try to reduce. Let's try to combine some steps. Okay, what is 7 plus 3 divided by 2? All right, so my first point, or my first answer, is 5. We did 2 steps in one. Hopefully you were paying attention. Then what about negative 6 plus 2? Negative 4 divided by 2. There we go. That would be my final answer. All right, let's keep rolling. Midpoint's a little, like it's a lot easier, in my opinion, than distance. All right, now these are backwards, okay? Remember how we had to count on that last one because they gave us the midpoint and wanted the end point? This one's the same thing. Here's AB. Okay, I have this line from A to B, and M is the midpoint. A, now this is different because I have 2 values, not just one. So I'm going to put, this is X, Y, and you can put X1, Y1 if you want. And this is X, Y. All I'm doing is I'm showing you that they're different. Like I have an X value and a Y value on each thing. I'm going to put my X values on top and my Y values on bottom, just so I can keep them separate because I have to find both. So A, the X value is 0 and the Y value is 1. Okay, and I should have color coded, but that's okay. Then they tell me M, the X value is 3 and the Y value is 5. So I just have to do what I did a while ago twice. So if I'm looking, I have to find B. That's what they want, find B. So let's do X's first. How do I get from a 0 to a 3? What did I do? Add 3. So then from M to B, I have to do the same thing. Add 3. So what is the X coordinate for B? 6. Now do Y's. How do you get from 1 to 5? Not add 4. Oh, wait. Oh, I'm crazy. I'm crazy. There we go. Yep, add 4. So I'm going to add 4 again. So my B, my Y coordinate is 9. Now I need you to just make it pretty for me, right? I need it to look like a point. So B is 6, 9.
No, there are no extras. He said just, you can unplug it, plug it into the new one, and I said, well, she knows that. That's why she's asking, but no. I didn't even ask about my plug, because I was just
I wonder if somebody has one
I bet you somebody does.
that's just extra. And you just need one for your laptop?
Yeah, because it uses C charger.
It's not the same one that we, okay.
No, it's crazy. So when I go home, I plug it into my phone charger, but it takes all night.
Aw,
But that's okay. So they care about
I know. Okay, we're going to do one more. Yes, we're going to do one more. Here we go. And this one is the same thing. So they give me midpoint and Q. So draw a picture. And it really doesn't have to be this large. I just, I get a little obnoxious sometimes. So R and Q, and then M is in the middle. And it is actually the midpoint. That's why we're calling it M. Make sure you label correctly on this one because they kind of tried to throw us a curveball a little bit, right? Because they gave us Q instead of R. So M, here's my X and my Y, Q, X, Y, and I'm going to put X's on top and Y's on bottom. So for M, 4 and -1. And then Q is on this side, 3 to negative 2. Now I just want you to be careful on which direction you're going, because where do I have to start? At Q, because it's the end point. So I have to start with negative 2 and try to get to negative 1. Add 1, good. So from Q to M, I'm adding 1. So I have to do the same thing, add 1. So what is negative 1 plus 1? Good. And then the same thing on the top. No, 3 to 4. Oh, I thought somebody said 5. Oh, the answer. Y'all are ahead of me. There we go. I'm sorry. It is 5. The answer is 5. Now, make it pretty, because it has to look like a point. So R is 5, 0. All right. You feel a little bit better today than yesterday? No, not much. Well, I could tell you why.